what it is. Happy Saturday to everybody. Hope you have a good day. I am here to answer questions today for 15 minutes. So I want you to be able to ask whatever you want. So whoever would like, there's at least one person watching. Yes, what question can I answer for whoever would like? Otherwise, I'll just ramble about AEP because that's what's coming up. That should be what the questions are about, if you ask me. I would ask questions about AEP, maybe what you should do, what the best strategies are. Who knows? It's up to you, really. It's your choice. Your choice to pick the topic today. Ask me anything at all. Anything at all. Somebody. I know there's somebody watching. Let's see. No questions at all. Huh? You want me to just wing it and give you stuff? But probably the number one tip I have for somebody: how did I write so many deals during AEP last year? All right, Ernest. Well, I work mostly referrals. That's the magic. The magic to doing a ton of business in AEP is working majority of your business being referrals and being new. So you have to work referrals, and you have to work your current book of business during pre-AEP. That's when I do my retention. So retention is my focus from now through the October 14th day. And then at the same time, I'm asking for referrals, but you got to creatively ask for referrals. Just asking for referrals is different than setting the table. What I mean by setting the table is creating an environment for the person that you're talking to understand why you need help, why you need someone to refer, and what makes you different about other people. I equate it to getting a referral from a restaurant from word of mouth, where you got to have a really over-the-top experience, over-the-top food, over-the-top service to make that recommendation, because you put yourself on a risk in some level when you make a referral or recommendation. So that's the key to writing a ton of deals during AEP. What advice do I have during doing the hour block schedule? So again, an hour at a time. So you want to be very efficient with your schedule. Putting an hour at a time allows you to stay focused on specific tasks. And so if you're newer in the business, whether you're not having power hours, where you're an hour of calling, an hour of appointments, an hour of running apps, an hour of something that keeps you in what I call the hitting zone, where you have an opportunity to help somebody, an opportunity to submit an application to help somebody. It's basically the end game of that. So you're looking for opportunities in your schedule to not waste time, because there's a lot of wasted time in a day. If you don't manage your schedule correctly, and you have too much drive time built in, and it doesn't take as long to get there, or other things, doing that 3 or 4 times in one day can cost you an entire application. So having that time period in place is very, very important to the efficiency of your schedule is very, very tied into how many people can you help. You have 53 days. There's 24 hours in a day. You break them up into 24 1-hour blocks. You need 4 or 5 for sleep. And then from there, it's negotiable what you choose to do. For me, I stretch my schedule out to where I'm in essence in the zone, working on things 18 to 20 hours a day, every day. And it starts now. It really does start now. You have to train your body, you have to train your mind, you have to train everything. And the magic to AEP, if you will, is to have your schedule be full for a week or 2 or 3 weeks, as many as you can get, heading into it, so that when you hit October 15th, you really just focus on full schedule days and everything's booked out for a week or 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, the scheduling is very important. What other questions? Somebody's got to have another question. You can ask me anything. I'll give you any answer. Holding nothing back right now. So take it full advantage. The number one question I do get asked, and someone's asking one, is what about leads? How do I do leads? Honestly, the best way to do AEP leads is to do leads the rest of the year and create a list of people that you couldn't help now for some reason. And then if you do that correctly, if you go through, say, 500 leads throughout the year, you should have 200 to 300 people to talk to, depending on your closing ratio and depending on other variables. But most of the time, you should have a stack of 100, 200, 300 people to go back through that you couldn't help during the rest of the year that agreed that you would be able to have an opportunity to help them evaluate for the following year. So that's probably a great thing. I don't like doing lead drops now. How many schedulers do you have? I just have one. I just have one assistant. She's a superstar. This time of year, I usually add 2 extras to back her up. So the rest of the year, I operate with 1. During AEP, I usually go to 3. At least that's what I did last year, and it was very, very, very effective. The hardest part is keeping call flow without having voicemails to follow up on. If we can get a call live without them leaving a voicemail, that increases efficiency on front and back side. So I only have 1, and in reality, 1's all you need for you. And if you have a team of people, you might need more than 1. What would you say follow-up on leads should be? Well, it depends on the type of lead, and it depends on how old the lead is, depends on how it was generated. There's a few variables. If you could be a little bit more specific, Katie, I'd be happy to elaborate some more on that. But follow-up is key on anything. You got to have, normally for most people, you got to have 5 to 7 touches on follow-up on the backside before they actually convert. Especially if it's a lead, not a referral. That's another reason why I like referrals. It's a much shorter cycle to process through, and that's key for that part of it. So yeah, leads and follow-up should be one and the same. And that's really what a lead is. You're following up on a request for information. So treat it like that, but have conversations. So we're working a lead. Don't work a lead. Have conversations with people so you can create charisma. You can create a relationship, because the creation of the relationship is what creates the infancy of the trust. New leads. Well, new leads, like turning 65 leads, or new leads like low-income leads. What kind of leads specifically? Because there's a different approach for each one. Low-income leads, you want to be very aggressive, and you in essence want to try to set an appointment very aggressively on the first phone call. The turning 65 market, you want to approach slower. You want to approach that with more of a long-term relationship in mind, where you're going to take things slow, understand they're being pestered by every angle, called by everybody, phone ringing off the hook, the mailbox is blowing up, emails. It's a very overwhelming experience, because you go to age 64 with the normal flow of junk email and phone calls and all that all the rest of us get. And then all of a sudden you're like, what list did I sign up for? It's a very overwhelming shower of contact attempts that happens to turning 65. So the follow-up on each type of lead is different. Direct mail, I follow up with differently than I do digital. Digital, you have to be, it's all about timing and speed. Being in the pocket at the right time, at the right moment, when they're online searching, in essence. That's the moment you want to be ready. If it's a direct mail lead, it's a little more of a casual process, and you get a little more control of that. My favorite thing to do is to door knock a direct mail lead, and time it out correctly. If you have to, wait down the street and wait till you see somebody drive into the house so you know they're home. You can do some things to increase your persistency and your results as far as your success goes. The leads, like I said, for me, as quickly as you can, you want to elevate out of the lead game and use leads for other people. Is how I look at it. I want referrals, and so for me, from the very beginning, it's always been about, and it continues to be about, development of referral relationships, not with my clients and with referral partners throughout the community. You want to find as many people of influence that you can find. People of influence are all over the place. Could be a coach, could be a teacher, could be a pastor, could be, it doesn't even be a pastor. It could just be a really, really strong member of a congregation at a church. Could be a very big person of influence in a whole community for you. Same thing with ethnic groups. If you get into his pockets of Hispanic, if you have an angle to that pocket, you have an angle to the veteran community. If you have an angle to the Russian community, any segment population that allows you to be niched on whatever level gives you an opportunity to really make some action and some stuff happen where others have to work twice as hard to get it. And that's really the key. Is I preach all the time, find the low-lying fruit to go after. It's not a cliche for a reason. There's a reason why it's called low-lying fruit, because it's easy to pick. And easy to pick fruit is very important psychologically to get the ball rolling for yourself. But the trick of this whole thing is really about, how do I get more and more efficient at what I'm already doing? And so you already have a process for working leads. You got to listen to your calls, record all your calls. You should be doing that before they pass the roll, because it allows you to have tape on yourself that you can go back and constructively criticize. That's what you want to do. You're not trying to make like a tape for yourself of like glory. It's really you're trying to find the places that you need to iron the kinks out, and you need to figure out the verbiages that are giving creation of an objection. Because most agents that get an objection, it has to do with something they're doing in the process, something you're saying in the way that you're wording things, or the timing, chronological order of processes in the sales pitch and process is very important. Let's see, how do I build rapport and fact finding, specifically when retail locations as soon as AEP starts? What's the best plan? And they get annoyed if I don't just give an answer. Well, um, I get what you're saying. You have to be very quick-minded, quick-witted. And so if you're going to be in a retail situation, number one, treat it like your office. And you want to funnel all activity that you have to that location. And I would spend as many hours as I could, almost like full-time hours there, where you're just there. Um, so if somebody comes up and says, what's the best plan? And I would say, for who? And they would say, for me. And I say, okay, I just need to know a few things about you before I can make any kind of recommendation. Otherwise, I'd be stabbing in the dark. And I treat people like family. And so I don't just stab in the dark, because I wouldn't do that to my mom, so I won't do that to you. But if you give me a few pieces of information, what meds you're taking, what doctors you're seeing, what your travel habits are, just start with those three things in the basics. I can give you an idea of what direction to guide you to. But the better question, Mr. and Mrs. Client, potentially, is which is the best fit for me? That should be what's the best plan? What's the right fit for me? What's the right option for me is really what the question should be. And so if you use that kind of reversal of the energy and say, well, the best plan for me is any of them. Whatever is right for you is the best plan for me, because I want you to have what's right for you. But if you're asking for me what's the most popular plan, because it sounds like that's more of what you're asking me, is what the most popular plan is. But I don't do voting contests, and I don't do popularity contests. But what I can do is help you. So if you have a minute and you want to give me your information, I can help you with that. And if they get annoyed and walk away, take that as a sign from God that you didn't want that client. Because if they're going to be a pain in the butt before you even help them, they're going to be a pain in the butt after they're your client, even 10 times more. So if somebody's confrontational like that, they could just be overwhelmed and tired. I mean, you have to understand, if you're in that age category and you're retired and you're sitting at home and you're watching TV or whatever it is that you're doing, the barrage of advertising is endless. The phone calls, the TV ads, everything switches that time of year to political stuff and Medicare. And so it's a very exhausting process, and some people might get annoyed by it. But I said, it sounds like you're asking me what's the most popular plan is. And I don't do things based on popularity. I do things on what's right for people. And I think if you use that kind of vernacular, you can reverse the energy usually. And then once you disarm them with that, I mean, usually they just typically will change over to whatever you want them to do. But that's a good question. And then building rapport while fact finding. For me, when I'm doing fact finding best and I'm having the most effectiveness and building, because what happens when you do fact finding correctly is you build trust during the process. But for me, I try to weave back and forth from like fact finding about what I need to know, like what prescriptions they're taking, what doctors they see, what hospitals they use, etc. And then I also like to weave back and forth with how are you, get to know you chit chat. How many grandkids do you have? What are their names? How old are they? Are they in school? And try to make it about the things that they're passionate about. If I'm sitting in a home doing fact finding, because I personally like to do fact finding on site the rest of the year during AEP, it's harder for me because I have to do fact finding in advance. Because to condense and crunch in so many appointments in a short period of time, you have to really condense the appointments down. And for me, I condense them down to 15 minutes. Is my goal always. Now, sometimes it goes over, sometimes it's faster. Sometimes I'm in and out faster than that, depending on the situations and what's going on. And so I think the fastest you can do at front to back, going compliantly and going through the scope of appointment, going through the summary of benefits and completion and all that, I think it's about 7-8 minutes. So 7-8 minutes. If you're going through that, if I can go through that stuff in advance with like text back and forth, or with a phone call, or with emails back and forth to go through those details, the summary of benefits, and have those kind of things, I'll definitely take advantage of that kind of thing as well, because I can always do emails and that kind of thing in non-normal business hours. So when I'm in the early morning or in the evening after the day is when I can do those kind of things. what other questions can I answer? Because we have 4 more minutes and then I'm going to jump off because I got to go to family dinner for Saturday. But I want to jump on and give about 15 minutes. We'll go for about 20. But if anyone else has any other questions, I would love to answer them. And I'm going to start doing this every Saturday. So put it on your calendar, Saturday afternoons. Book it for the Medicare machine to answer any question that you got. But yeah, other than that, anybody else have any questions? I think there's one other tip I can give. Intuition. So we're talking about fact finding. Intuition. I use intuition a lot. An example I would give is if someone's if someone's smoking in front of me, I'm not gonna dance around the tobacco use question. But if they're not like literally smoking in front of me, or they don't smell like smoke, and I can't tell, I'm gonna guess on the other side of the spectrum. I'm gonna say, I've been doing this a long time. Based on your skin and the way you look, if I'm face to face, I'm gonna give them a compliment about how they look. Like I would never guess that you look like a smoker. You're not a tobacco user, right? That way, even if they are, you're still flattering them, saying that they don't look like one. Same thing with the voice. If I'm on the phone with somebody doing fact finding, I'm going to talk about, hey, I've been doing this a long, long time. Your voice sounds awesome. There's no way in heck that you're a tobacco user. I can tell in the voice almost always. Once in a while I'm wrong, but 9 out of 10 times you'll guess the right answer if you use your intuition. And that's one of those questions. You can make a very boring question. Do you smoke or do you use tobacco? Or you can give them a compliment and you can build trust with the question instead. And that's really a big key and big difference to building rapport while fact finding and just doing the robotic science of fact finding. The art part of it comes into play. If you can mix the science and the art together, that's when you really start to create a relationship instead of just a transactional business type of situation, which is the key to everything. If you can create a relationship, that's where you get longevity. That's where you get more referrals. That's where you get higher retention rates. And then if there's opportunity for crossover into life insurance or other products that they have needs for, you can also have an easier transition into that because they already like you, they already trust you, and they know you're doing the right thing. So, but yeah, thanks for tuning in for this week's. So this is the first time I'm trying to think of something different to do than just a normal agent tip of the day, make it more of a live and interactive experience with these. And so thank you for participating. Hope you guys have a great AEP. Let me know how I can help you. Otherwise, tune in. Agent tip of the day. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, do that. I'm building. I'm trying to get momentum on the Facebook page too. I haven't put any energy into it yet, but I will be pushing that as well. But yeah, let me know how I can help you. All of you are important to me. I want to see you crush AEP like you never did before. And I'm going to have more and more stuff to help you do that. So thank you for tuning in. Have a great rest of your holiday weekend. And we will see you tomorrow with tomorrow's agent tip of the day. See you guys.